He is sinking. The sea has swallowed the sky, and the sky has swallowed the stars. Somewhere above him, men he barely knew are screaming his name like a curse. And somewhere below him, something ancient, something sent. This is not how Jonah expected his story to end. But 3 days earlier, his name was Jonah, son of Amittai, a prophet of Israel, a man who had heard the voice of God before and knew it well. So when the word of the Lord came to him, he recognized it instantly. Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. Nineveh, capital of Assyria, enemy of Israel, a city soaked in cruelty. God was asking Jonah to walk into the heart of his nation's enemy and offer them a way out. But Jonah did not arise to obey. He arose to run. Nineveh was not just Israel's enemy. It was the empire that would one day crush his people without mercy. Jonah did not want Nineveh saved. He wanted it to fall. So instead of turning east toward Nineveh, he turned west, toward the sea, toward Joppa, toward anywhere God was not asking him to go. He found a ship bound for Tarshish, about as far from Nineveh as a man could sail. He paid his fare. He went below deck, and there, surrounded by cargo and the creak of old wood, Jonah did something remarkable for a man fleeing the creator of heaven and earth. He fell asleep. Running from God, it seems, is exhausting work. But the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. The sailors were afraid, and every man cried out to his God. They threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. And Jonah, the one man on board who actually knew the God behind the storm, was fast asleep in the hold, as if none of it concerned him at all. Then the captain came to him and said, "What do you mean by sleeping? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us so that we may not perish." Jonah climbed up into the storm he had caused, and somewhere in that climb, the weight of what he'd done must have started to settle in. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. "Tell us," they cried, "who is responsible for this trouble? What is your occupation? Where do you come from?" And Jonah finally told them the truth. "I am a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then he told them everything, that he was running from the very God who had made the storm that now threatened to kill them all. "What shall we do to you, that the sea may be calm for us?" they asked. And Jonah answered, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you." The men tried everything else first, rowing harder, fighting the storm with their own strength, but nothing worked. So they took up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea stopped its raging. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Where Jonah expected only death, God had already prepared deliverance. Strange, dark, suffocating deliverance, but deliverance all the same. He was alive. Somehow, impossibly, he was alive. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the fish's belly and said, "I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. The waters surrounded me, even to my soul. The deep closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head." In the deepest, darkest place he had ever been, Jonah finally stopped running. He prayed, "Salvation is of the Lord." So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. He lay there in the sand, coughing, soaked, alive, utterly undeserving of the mercy he'd just received, and utterly changed by it. The God he'd run from had chased him into the deep and brought him back out again. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time, saying, "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach to it the message that I tell you." So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. This time he didn't argue. This time he walked toward the very city he once prayed would burn. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, a 3 days' journey in extent. And Jonah cried out, "Yet 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown." It was the shortest sermon in Scripture, 8 words in Hebrew, and it shook an empire. So the people of Nineveh believed God. They proclaimed a fast and put on sackcloth, from the greatest to the least of them. Word reached the king himself, and he too rose from his throne, laid aside his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He issued a decree, "Let everyone turn from his evil way. Who can tell if God will turn and relent?" And God saw their works, that they turned from their evil way. So God relented from the disaster he had said he would bring upon them, and he did not do it. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he became angry. He prayed, "I knew that you are a gracious and merciful God. Therefore, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live." The man who had been saved from the depths now sat outside the city he just saved, furious that God had been merciful to someone other than him. So the Lord prepared a plant and made it come up over Jonah, that it might be shade for his head. Jonah was extremely glad because of the plant, but God prepared a worm, and it withered the plant. And when the sun grew hot, Jonah grew faint and wished to die. Then God asked him, "Should I not pity Nineveh, that great city, in which are more than 120,000 persons who cannot discern between their right hand and their left?" The story ends not with Jonah's answer, but with God's question still hanging in the air. The same question he still asks every one of us. Every time grace reaches someone we think doesn't deserve it, "Can you not see them the way I see them?"